Good evening and welcome to the Monday, September 14, 6 p.m. regular meeting of the Bell Gardens Successor Agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order. Pursuant to Executive Order N2920, please be advised that members of the Bell Gardens Successor Agency will participate in today's meeting telephonically. Agency members and staff are participating from remote locations. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. Conflict of interest recusal. If any agency members should have a conflict of interest virtually, please leave the room by turning off your video and muting yourself. You may still keep listening to the meeting. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our City Manager, Michael O'Kelly.
Please face the flag, place your right hand over your heart, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, City Manager. Agency Secretary, will you please call roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Agency Member Acetuno.
Present.
Barcena.
Present.
Vice Chair Flores.
Present.
And Chair Cortez.
Present. Moving on to public participation. Agency Secretary, do we have any public speakers for the Successor Agency?
No, we do not, Mayor.
Okay, at this point, I'll go ahead and close public participation for the Successor Agency. Moving on to consent calendar. Does any member of the agency wish to pull any items for separate discussion? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move to approve the consent calendar. May I have a second?
I'm pulling item number 10.
We are in the Successor Agency.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, I'll second.
Okay, I'll go ahead and take this to a roll call. Councilmember Barcena?
Yes.
Councilmember Aceituno?
Yes.
Vice Chair Flores?
Yes.
And yes for myself as well. So the consent calendar carries. Okay, moving on to public participation on non-agenda items for the Successor Agency. City Clerk, do we have any?
We do not, Mayor.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close public participation on non-agenda items for the Successor Agency. And now moving on to agency members' comments. Do we have any comments on behalf of the agency members? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn the Successor Agency at 6:06 and call to order the City Council meeting. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, September 14, 2026 p.m. regular meeting of the Bell Gardens City Council. The meeting will now come to order. Pursuant to Executive Order N2920, please be advised that members of the Bell Gardens City Council will participate in today's meeting telephonically. Council members and staff are participating from remote locations. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. Conflict of interest and recusal. If any agency member should have a conflict of interest virtually, please leave the room by turning off video and muting yourself. You may still keep listening to the meeting. City Clerk, will you please call roll of the City Council?
Yes, Mayor. Council members Acetuno.
Present.
Barcena.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores.
Present.
Mayor Cortez.
Present. City Attorney, will you please give our closed session report?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The City Council is now back in open session, having met in closed session to discuss the 4 items posted on tonight's agenda. With respect to item 1, the City Council received an update from outside legal counsel. Unanimous direction was given, but no final action was taken. With respect to item 2, the City Council received a report on this matter from outside legal counsel. Direction was given, Mayor Pro Tem Flores voting no on that direction, but no final action was taken in closed session. With respect to items 3 and 4, the City Council received an update from staff, but did not take any final action. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the presentations. For tonight, City Manager, will you please announce the second presentation?
Yes, Mayor Cortez. The second proclamation is honoring Deaf Awareness Month. And we have Neil from Pro Bono ASL that's going to translate for us while the Mayor Pro Tem reads the proclamation.
In order for him to have the large screen, should we disappear or?
Mayor Pro Tem, give us a second here. We're trying to see if we can pin Neil there so he can be on the large side even though you're speaking.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead. We can see Neil. Hi, Neil. And Mayor Pro Tem, we should be able to hear you through audio.
Okay, so before I begin, okay, ladies. So City of Bell Gardens proclamation in honor of Deaf Awareness Month. Whereas the deaf population includes a wider range of individuals from those who were born profoundly deaf and use American Sign Language as a primary means of communication, to those with a degree of hearing loss who use hearing aids or other forms of amplifications and communications modes. And whereas according to the National Center of Health Statistics, there are approximately 37 million deaf and hard of hearing people living in the United States. And whereas it is estimated that 1 in 10 live with some degree of hearing loss, and over 2.2 million are considered deaf, and whereas the Office of the Deaf Access estimates 3 million deaf and hard of hearing persons reside in California alone, and the greater Los Angeles and surrounding counties is home to over 800,000 deaf and hard of hearing people, and whereas about 2 to 3 of every 1,000 children in the United States are born deaf or hard of hearing, and 9 on every 10 children who are born deaf are born to parents who can hear. And whereas the state of California benefits from many of the contributions of the deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing residents throughout the state and the city of Bell Gardens. And whereas the city of Bell Gardens, California is enriched by the diverse and unique heritage, language, and culture of the deaf community. and people who identify themselves as deaf belong to a cultural and linguistic community with shared language, social norms, rules of behavior, and history. And whereas it is important to ensure that California's deaf, blind, and hard of hearing individuals have equal access to the many benefits and opportunities available to hearing individuals to live, work, play, and communicate in Bell Gardens, California. And whereas to commemorate the first Congress of the World Federation of the Deaf, which was held in September of 1951, the city of Bell Gardens recognizes the entire month of September as Deaf Awareness Month. And whereas the purpose of Deaf Awareness Month is to increase public awareness of the issues and the culture of people who are deaf, as well as to promote equal access to information and services for deaf individuals, to educate the public about the misconceptions of being deaf, and to learn about the types of educational programs, support services, and resources available to people who are deaf, blind, and hard of hearing. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Lisette Flores, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 15 through October 15, 2020, to be Deaf Awareness Month in the City of Bell Gardens, and urges its citizens to aid in creating a more deaf-friendly community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you, Neil, for joining us this evening. Okay, City Manager, we're moving on to our next proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. The next proclamation is in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, which actually starts tomorrow, September 15th, through October 15th, to recognize the contributions and influence of Hispanic Americans to the United States. I'll turn over to Mayor, acknowledging we have a distinguished guest with us here this evening as well.
Yes, thank you so much, City Manager. I do want to make note that our Congresswoman is on this call. And, you know, writing up this proclamation, I thought, what a better person than our Congresswoman. Such an honor to have a Mexican American representing our district. And I'll tell you more about her in a little bit, but thank you, Congresswoman, for joining us this evening. I know it's a virtual meeting. It's a little different, but I'm glad you could be with us today, receiving this proclamation in which we declare, you know, this month Hispanic Heritage Month here in the City of Bell Gardens. So our Congresswoman, Luz Royba Allard, became the first Mexican-American woman elected to Congress in 1992. She has distinguished herself throughout her congressional career as a dedicated advocate for the dignity and well-being of all Americans. The Congresswoman is the first Latina to serve on one of the 12 cardinals or chairs of the House of Appropriations Subcommittee, as well as the first Latina to serve on the House Appropriations Committee. She is also the first woman to chair the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, the first woman to chair the California Democratic Congressional Delegation, and the founder of the Women's Working Group on Immigration Reform. And her bio goes on extensively of everything that she's done for our community. She's been a champion for our dreamers. She's been a champion for our immigrants. She has helped our congressional district every single time we need something here in Bell Gardens. She's a call away. So for me, it is such an honor to present this proclamation. What better this year than to have a Latina to receive it on our 100th anniversary since the 19th Amendment that gave us the power to vote. And this election is super important for everyone to exercise that right and vote. So Congresswoman, I do want to present this proclamation. We'll be mailing it to you. It's a proclamation in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas each year the United States observes National Hispanic Heritage Month by celebrating the culture, heritage, and countless contributions of those whose ancestors were indigenous to North America, as well as those who came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central American, and South America. And what began in 1968 as the Hispanic Heritage Week under the President Johnson and was expanded by President Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period starting September 15 and ending on October 15. And the people of Hispanic descent are heirs and missionaries, captains, soldiers, and farmers who were motivated by a young spirit of adventure and desired to settle freely in a free land. This heritage is ours. Hispanic and Latino Americans have served our country in the past and continue to serve in significant and enduring ways today. Although too numerous to recognize individually by name, Latinos serve as civil rights leaders and community organizers, politicians, soldiers, educators, journalists, first responders, pioneers in art and science, healthcare professionals, athletes, inventors, entertainers, and so much more. Several of our states and many of our cities bear Hispanic names and continue Hispanic traditions that enrich our national life. Hispanics continue to enrich the history of significant and diverse contributions to the cultural, educational, economic, and political vitality of Bell Gardens, California, Los Angeles County, and the entire United States of America. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that I, Alejandra Cortez, Mayor for the City of Bell Gardens, with the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2020 a Hispanic Heritage Month and encourage all residents of Bell Gardens to celebrate and honor the rich diversity of the Latino community and celebrate the many ways they contribute to our nation and society. So Congresswoman, I think you have some words for us, perhaps. Oh, you're muted. You need to unmute.
I have to get used to this technology here. Unfortunately, my grandchildren aren't here to help me, but first of all, let me just say thank you for this wonderful proclamation highlighting the history and the contributions and the talents of our Hispanic community. It really is a wonderfully worded proclamation, so thank you for that. But also I want to say thank you to you, Mayor Alejandra Cortez, to Mayor Pro Tem Lisette Flores, and council members Pedro Acintuno and Marco Barcena for your service to the City of Bell Gardens and for inviting me to attend tonight's council meeting to accept this proclamation recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month. I also want to thank your city manager, O'Kelly, and the city staff for all the work that they do on behalf of the residents of Bell Gardens. This celebration is especially meaningful to me because I've had the privilege of representing Bell Gardens throughout my political career, and because I have the distinct pleasure of representing the most Hispanic district in the entire country. I regret that we can't all be together in person because of the health crisis of COVID-19, but I just want to assure you that I and my Democratic colleagues are doing everything possible, everything in our power to provide the resources needed to help protect you and your families there in the city of Bell Gardens and throughout the country. A major step in that direction was the passage of the HEROES Bill, which passed several months ago. And the HEROES Bill provided additional resources for you and your family, including rent assistance, which I know is so important to so many of our constituents. And it also provides additional help to small businesses and badly needed resources for our state and local governments. But unfortunately, as you probably know, the Senate leadership has refused to bring up that bill for a vote. But I want to assure you that I will continue to do everything in my power to provide you and your family with the help and the support that you need during these very trying times. In closing, I really want to commend the City of Bell Gardens for being the only city within the 40th Congressional District to have a census complete count committee. A complete census count is so very critical. So I want to encourage everyone in the City of Bell Gardens and hopefully our entire 40th Congressional District to fill out the form and to send it in by the deadline of September 30th, because that's the only way that we are going to be able to receive all the resources that we are entitled to. Also, be sure to exercise the power of your vote and to vote on November 3rd, at which time I hope that once again, I will have the privilege of representing the wonderful cities of Bell Garden and the 40th Congressional District. So thank you again for such a wonderful proclamation and for the pleasure of being able to receive it this evening. And everybody, please stay safe and healthy.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Congresswoman.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. It was a pleasure having you with us tonight. Your time is precious, and I thank you for these couple minutes that you gave us.
You're welcome, and I hope that we can all get together in person in the near future.
God willing. Have a great night, Congresswoman.
Thank
You
you,
too.
Congresswoman.
Bye-bye.
Okay, City Clerk, we're now moving on to public participation on agenda items only. So public participation is now open. City Clerk, do we begin with the callers first?
Yes, we'll begin with the two WebEx participants. Okay. Okay. No. Okay. I'll have to call him. 1 minute. Okay, the first one will be Chris.
Please leave your message for 4125. Hello.
Yes, good evening. Is this Jennifer Rodriguez?
Yes, this is Jennifer Rodriguez.
Okay, my name is Jane Halstead, City Clerk for the City of Bell Gardens. I'm calling so you can state your comments before the City Council by phone. Please announce your name and state your comments. You have 3 minutes to speak, starting now.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Rodriguez. I'm calling in regards to item number 10. I'm calling in regards to the council making efforts to approve Blue Icon and a contract of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. This is a clear example of what money laundering is, conflict of interest, corruption, and manipulation. Using our taxpayers' money to redirect to Pedro Artesino and Maria Pulido's campaign. It is no secret that this company, Blue Icon, is currently managing Mr. Pedro Artesino and Maria Pulido's campaign. And let me just tell you, Mrs. Alejandra Cortez is also assisting in Mr. Artesino's and Maria Pulido's campaign. My family has received calls from her. This is something that the DA, I'm sure, will be interested in hearing. Her Facebook was changed today. It is no secret also that Blue Icon also owns the page of Alejandra Cortez, mayor of a community. And just today, she changed her Facebook status. Too late, Alejandra. We have a copy of it, and I'm sure that the DA will be more than happy to hear what you are trying to do against our community. You're trying to deviate this money to Mr. Artesino using an excuse of trying to outreach our community in regards to this tax measure. Michael, do not allow them to suffer you into doing something that's corrupted. You are not like them, not turned like them. What they're doing is against the law. And you, Michael, know that Blue Icon is running Mr. Artesino's campaign. Mr. Artesino should not be able to vote on this. It is a concert that he continues to be and try to do his corrupted deeds in making efforts to use our money as taxpayers to help him out in his current campaign. So again, I'm pleading with Marcos because I think he is the only one who really has the best interest of our community at heart. Do not fall into their corrupted ways and do not let them bully you into voting for something that you very well know is wrong. Again, thank you so much to our Congresswoman Lucia Bordas. If you only knew what's going on in the city, I think that you would be embarrassed and not very proud to say that you have represented the city. Bell Gardens did go through a great time, but right now our city is deviating to its lowest. So we are, as a community, as residents, citizens, and voters of Bell Gardens, asking you to help us to save Bell Gardens from the corrupted ways of Mario Beltran. He is in the middle of all of this, and Mayor Cortez has openly stated that Mario Beltran is her mentor. Blue Icon works with Mario Beltran. Blue Icon is currently running Maria Pulido and Pedro Argentino's campaign. This is an utter conflict, and all of you should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Ms. Rodriguez. Our next speaker is Ivan Rodriguez. No, pardon me, Ivan Reese.
Please leave your message for.
Our next speaker is Tanya Lara.
Buenas tardes,
Buenas tardes, ¿es Tanya Lara?
caballero. Ajá.
Sí, señora. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Jane Halstead, secretaria de la ciudad de Bell Gardens. Le llamo para que pueda dar sus comentarios ante el Consejo Municipal por teléfono. Por favor, anuncia su nombre y diga sus comentarios. Tienes 3 minutos para hablar. Comienza.
De acuerdo, más en español, ¿ok? ¿No hay problema?
Bueno, ajá, sí.
Órale pues, gracias. Va.
Comience, señora.
Ok. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Tania Lara, caballero, y pues yo estoy hablando sobre Mario Beltrán y esta compañía que se llama Blue Communication. Pienso que es un solo conflicto. Ellos están corriendo la campaña de Pedro Argentino y María Pulido. Le están dando ese dinero para que lo gasten ellos en sus campañas. La verdad que pienso que eres una persona sucia y no llegarás a nada. Olvídate de ser abogada. Créeme que las autoridades se darán cuenta, pues, de tus crímenes. ¿Ok? Eso es todo. Gracias.
Gracias, señora.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Our next speaker is Robert.
Hello?
Yes, this is Robert.
Yeah, that's me.
Robert, this is Jane Halstead, City Clerk for the City of Bell Gardens. I'm calling so you can state your comments before the City
I'll
Council.
say it in Spanish, if you don't mind, man.
You want me to say it in Spanish?
Yeah, if you don't mind, before.
Not at all.
Yo estoy hablando de item number 10.
Okay. Puedes dar sus comentarios ante el Consejo Municipal por teléfono. Por favor, anuncia su nombre y diga sus comentarios. Tienes 3 minutos para hablar. Comience, señor.
Vamos a hablar de item number 10, nada más para saber ¿por qué están tratando de dar dinero a esta campaña a quien igual maneja sus medios sociales y está manejando la campaña de Pedro Cintuno y es conflictivo y contra la ley? Y también es una persona que problema lealtad a tu comunidad. Tú sabes que esta campaña maneja tu propaganda y te ha dado dinero y te da a ellos con esta corrupta. Quieres ser abogada que qué chiste que no llegarás a hacer eso, porque todos reportaremos, porque corrupción y violar la ley, sabes que esta campaña es propietario de tu Facebook y tu lado de lavado de dinero. Él está manejando la campaña de Pedro Aceituno y María Pulido. Dinero que quieres darle a ese dinero para las campañas. Es todo.
Bye bye. Gracias, señor. And the next two are emails to be read.
Okay, the next public comment is an email by Cristina Paulo. Give me 1 second. And this is with regards to item number 14. Hello, requesting to make a public comment tonight, agenda item term limits. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Cristina Paulo. I support this agenda item. Term limits allow City Council elections to be more competitive, which can possibly increase voter engagement. Term limits puts a stop to the career politicians and puts an abrupt stop to perceptions of corruption by curbing the monopolies and special interests. Our current leaders have all done a great job, but it is time we pass a torch and let others bring in fresh, innovative ideas to continue driving the city forward. If you're a great leader, then term limits shouldn't offend you because you understand that your seat is just a temporary layover to your final destination. Great city leaders do the good work and lay the foundation for a seamless transition for the next group to pick up from. I'd like to thank the current council members for their work, and I'm counting on them to support this item. Thank you for your time. The next one is by Mark Alamillo. Public comment item agenda, or item number 14. Good evening, City Council and City Management. As a lifelong resident of Bell Gardens, I'm in favor of term limits. We already have them at the federal, state, and county level. Downey and Cudahy have adopted term limits. We should follow suit. When those who represent us serve for short periods of time, they stay connected to their communities and serve the public interest. Term limits help block the corruption and arrogance that comes from career politicians who are more concerned with their perks and privileges than with what's best for the people they serve. Resident Mark Alamillo. Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and conclude public comment, and I will go ahead and close public participation on agenda items.
Public comment, because I submitted an email for the record to be read during public comment.
You could go ahead and read those during your council member comments.
It's not a council member comment. It's a record to be read right now during public comment. It's a public comment, not a council comment.
City Attorney?
Yes, Mayor, members of the City Council, as long as the item is read before the end of the meeting, since it's a general council comment.
It's an email that was sent that I wanted to be submitted for public comment, and I submitted it as anybody else would have. I'm speaking as a resident, and I want my public comment email to be read. If not, why are you censoring? What are you afraid of? Read the comment. Read the email.
Nobody's censoring you. If you want to go ahead and read it yourself, you may go ahead.
You
may go ahead and read your own comment, Mayor Pro Tem.
City Attorney,
can you
please?
if it was submitted, I didn't realize it was submitted as part of
it was
public comment. So if that's the case, then this would be the appropriate time to read it.
Okay, City Clerk, can you go ahead and please read that comment?
Okay, this email is from Mayor Pro Tem Flores, and it states, Dear City Attorney Rick Oliveras and City Manager Michael O'Kelly, CC FPPC, Los Angeles County District Attorney, Public Integrity Division. As a member of Bell Gardens City Council, it is my oath of office to defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of California from all foreign and domestic enemies. I am notifying you as the city attorney and the obligation you have as an attorney in the state of California and the State Bar of California that I am reporting you to an ethics violation and criminal activity in violation of Title V of crimes by and against the executive power of the state. I am notifying you that I have been lobbied to vote a certain way and I denied the request. It is my understanding that Mayor Alejandra Cortez and the current campaign manager of Blue Icon Communications LLC, who is working along with Councilmember Aceituno's reelection, have engaged in criminal activity by lobbying the votes of 3 council members, including Councilmember Barcena. I have been told and have reason to believe all 3 council members will vote as their majority to illegally approve a city contract to launder money into Councilmember Aceituno's campaign worth $36,475. A company who has contributed Mayor Alejandro Cortez, Marco Barcena, and my own campaign through Mario Beltran's company. Currently, this company continues to manage and own Mayor Cortez's social media. See screenshot attached. Mayor Cortez has proven to bend the rules when it comes to the benefit of her mentor, Mario Beltran and Associates. Mayor Cortez, Councilmember Aceituno, and Councilmember Barcena will participate in exploiting their power and relationships for their personal gain by approving this $32,475 contract for Blue Icon. They are disguising these public funds to be used to promote a sales tax measure. However, Blue Icon is already working for the reelection campaign for Councilmember Aceituno. To be more clear, we are giving money to a company that is simultaneously running Pedro Aceituno's reelection campaign. The lie referred to is this: A, every executive or ministerial officer, employee, or appointee of the state of California, a county or city therein, or a political subdivision thereof, who asks, receives, or agrees to receive any bribe.
Okay. With that, we now conclude public comment.
That's 3 minutes.
Yes, that was 3 minutes if you didn't hear the timer.
I did hear the timer, but you like to change the time, so I just want to verify that you did give me 3 minutes. So thank you for verifying.
Moving on, now we'll go ahead and close public participation. City Manager, will you please give your report?
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. Just to start off, I would like to recognize our employee, Vanessa Quiroz. The council member, Vanessa, she works in the city clerk's office. While we were in the process of recruiting a new city clerk, when we ended up with a great one, Jane, Vanessa really worked at one point. I think she was covering 3 different positions, was about 8 months pregnant, and already had 2 children on top of it. So she really came through for the city. So I'm not surprised to announce this and very proud that she's earned her certified municipal clerk certification back in July, so about 2 months ago. So if you're working in the city clerk's office, you want to be a CMC, a certified municipal clerk, and you didn't want to become a master municipal clerk. It requires education and experience. So just want to make that note to everybody. Very proud of Vanessa and very impressed with her, all the hard work she puts in at work and at home. So congratulations to Vanessa. I also wanted to mention we had issued a public notice for 2 zoning code amendments to be heard at this council meeting tonight. Those were re-noticed for the next council meeting, but in the event there are any members of the public that decided to listen or participate based on that public notice that was put out a couple weeks ago, just wanted to make the reminder that has been re-noticed to 2 weeks from now. Thank you, Mayor Cortez.
Thank you, City Manager. We're going to go ahead and move on now to the consent calendar. But before that, I do want to congratulate Vanessa in her great achievements. She's a great asset to our city, and I hope that she continues to be. So just congratulations, Vanessa. And then we'll, send her the appropriate, because I'm sure she's not listening to this meeting. Okay, now we're moving on to consent calendar. I'm going to go ahead and table item number 4. Does any other council member wish to pull any items for separate discussion?
I'd like to pull item number 10.
Okay, any other council members? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and move to approve the consent calendar with the exception of item number 4 and item number 10. May I have a second?
Second.
And I'll take this to a roll call. Councilmember Aceituno?
Yes.
Councilmember Barcena?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And yes for myself as well. So consent calendar carries with the exception of item number 4 and number 10. So I'll move to table item number 4. May I have a second?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Councilmember Aceituno, I think you're unmuted.
I'll second that. This is Marco Barcena.
What are we seconding?
Thank you, Councilmember Barcena. So I have a first and a second to table item number 4. I'll go ahead and take this to a roll call. Councilmember Aceituno?
Yes.
Councilmember Barcena?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And yes for myself as well. So item number 4 is tabled. And now we're moving on to item number 10, Mayor Pro Tem.
Alrighty, so there's a lot of things going on in the city, as you guys heard, that there's people calling in and sending in emails regarding item number 10. Item number 10 is, just so I can break it down for the residents who are watching. It's a contract to be awarded for about $37,000 and some other $100 so that we can promote the sales tax measure that's on the ballot for the city of Bell Gardens in November. What that means is that there's a measure on this ballot asking the residents if they want their taxes to go up. The point of it is to get the taxes to go up so that the city can generate more income for its revenue. And one of the big ticket items as to why we voted for it to be there on the first place is to get more money to pay for a swimming pool that we, have designed, but that's another story. Anywho, so what's happening now is that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and what this council is proposing is that we spend $37,000 on an outreach campaign to talk to residents and let them know that they should vote on raising their own sales tax here in the city and why it's important or whatnot. I did vote to put this on the ballot because I do think that it's the people who need to vote and it's necessary. If not, some of the other counter argument was that the LA County would raise those taxes. However, that was pre-COVID, right? We don't know what's going to happen anymore. We don't know how we're doing right now. We have residents who are being evicted of their homes, being evicted from their businesses. And I know that all of us have gotten at least 3 or 4 phone calls every week from different people. So to me, it doesn't seem right to spend $37,000 to convince people to put up their own sales tax. So not only are we spending money that could easily be given back to the community or to a department that can help our community, we're going to use it to a company to go and force you or educate you to raise your sales tax. Okay. Number 2, everybody here is calling because there's a company who was only one company. The bid was open for, was it less than 2 weeks, Mike? Somewhere around there, right? 10 days, 13 days, something like that. It was only open for a few days, which is abnormal, first of all. And it was only one person who submitted. How it was presented or how it was put out, I don't know. It's beyond me. But the point is that this one company that qualified and put in a bid is the same company that helped me, Alejandra, and Marco in our campaign for a little bit, right? And why is this important? It's important because now this company is now supporting Pedro Aceituno's reelection. So we're going to give money to a company that's running already an election for Mr. Aceituno, and everybody here knows it. So I sent a letter to the district attorney because this is a crime. People always think that city council members steal money by spending something on their city credit card with Uber. That's not how they steal money. They steal money like this in front of everybody. This is money laundering and it's criminal. And I sent that letter to warn Alejandra because Alejandra wants to be an attorney. So how are you going to be an attorney when you've been accused of a crime and are going to be found guilty? How? I don't know. But if I really disliked you, I would have just let you commit a crime. However, you dislike yourself more. So you're going to do this to yourself. That's fine. But this is just to alert the community of what's happening. This is a robbery going down. $36,000+ to be given to a company that's already running a council member's election is not only ridiculous, it is insulting to the community that everybody thinks that you're not paying attention, that this is going to go down and these 3 council members are going to vote on it. I don't know what Marco's going to do. I don't talk to Marco. I don't violate the Brown Act like Alejandra and Pedro do. But I will tell you this. When this happens, be sure that you know that your money is being stolen. It's stolen. It's stolen taxpayer money. So worry about that they're openly doing it like this. The city attorney has been warned, the city manager has been warned, and they have been told that they could be violating, let's see, Government Code Section 1090. So if according to the city attorney, they're advising you that if you do this and what I'm saying is true, you're committing a crime and you're still doing it, then I cannot protect you from harming yourself. So with that said, la ciudad de Bell Gardens, cuando alguien se roba el dinero es así. Así enfrente de ti, cuando lo ponen en un papel, la gente no se da cuenta qué es lo que está pasando. Y esto es lo que está pasando ahorita. Y me siento muy decepcionada y muy frustrada con todo el concilio, las representantes que están aquí, porque todos muy bien saben lo que está pasando, de que se están dando ese dinero para una reelección de alguien que ya está aquí, al señor Pedro, y él mismo va a votar a una persona que ya está contratado por él. Hoy Alejandra cambió lo que dicen lo que acabo de escuchar, se cambió quién es el dueño de su página de Facebook, pero ayer todavía esta persona Blue Icon era el dueño de esta compañía. Mira aquí dice BIMCC, you see, just like there, and it's the same company, if you notice, that we're giving money to. So you be the judge and you make your vote and cast your vote how you feel is right. But if you know that this is wrong, Pedro and Marco, then do what's right. Because if you think that this is going to end here, there's a lot of people who want to see you drown. I'm not one of them. That's why I advised you first. However, do however you please. This is wrong. This is criminal. You all know it, but vote accordingly and know that whatever you decide, be it sure that I will let everybody know what's happening.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores, thank you for the comments, and I just wanted to.
So what my suggestion is that Councilmember Aceituno and Mayor Cortez recuse themselves from this item because there's a clear conflict of interest.
I'll handle this. Okay, so first of all, Mayor Pro Tem, there's a couple allegations that you threw out there, and I can't go without responding to them. Since when are you an attorney? Since when are you an investigator? Since when do you have a clear crystal ball to know what's exactly happening in the city of Bell Gardens? Everything you mentioned today are false accusations and allegations, and in real life, these lies have consequences. You sent an email to the DA yesterday, which you brought up for public comment. You have zero regard for the lives of others and how you can potentially screw up their lives with your lies, all for what? To help out your own buddy for elections?
If I want to help my own buddy,
It's my time. It's my time.
Go ahead.
It's my time. First, you're being reckless with our community of Bell Gardens, saying that their taxes are going to go up without clarifying and without following the guidelines that we need to follow when we're informing our community of the taxes. We decided a year ago to put it on the ballot, which you, like, as you mentioned, you voted that you were going to be in support of. Now, it is our duty and our diligence to educate the community about what is going on the ballot, because regardless whether we like it or not, the measure is going on the ballot. So as opposed to you that you're at home making up all these theories, we're here working to ensure that our community receives the respect that they deserve and the knowledge that they deserve. Second, you said that I changed the owner of my Facebook page. Yes, I did, because I am the owner. I have zero business in having a communications person on my team because I can easily do my own Facebook repost, as I've been doing for many, many years. Now, you and I very well know that 2 years ago when we were starting our elections, this company was the manager of our pages, but no longer
Of your page, never my page.
Because yours was beyond help, to be quite honest. So just all of your different allegations, is just, it baffles me how you can come onto this public forum and cry wolf when, are you serious? We're stealing city taxpayer money? And then the fact that you keep bringing up that I want to be an attorney. What is it to you what my future career aspirations are? the public comments, they address the same thing. So what makes me believe that they weren't calling on behalf of you with your exact same arguments? It is not public knowledge out in the world for our residents that I am preparing myself to be an attorney.
You
It's
introduced yourself.
beyond me. It's beyond me, Lisette.
No, it's
So
not.
with that, I want to go ahead and move to approve this item because there is no conflict of interest. Your allegations are mere political stunt that we're
no.
not going to allow on this
I'm
city
so sorry,
council.
Alejandra.
And
I'm
this is
so
your
sorry
last
for you.
move
You know what?
to try to
And
bully the
I'm so
council
sorry
into
you.
doing what
No
you
one's
want.
bullying anybody. The only bully
Yes.
here
Madam
has
Mayor, if I
No.
may.
Mayor, if I may,
Pedro, you're ridiculous. It's so sad that
Councilmember,
you're
if
on
I
here
may.
lying to
Mayor, if I may.
everybody. You have a
Councilmember
responsibility
Barcena?
as the mayor to be
Councilmember.
Councilmember
truthful.
Barcena?
Go ahead, Marco.
Count. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I would usually stay quiet about this and not have a reply. But one thing that cannot be ignored is the importance of this tax measure, which is the reason why we are investing in this particular effort to educate our community so that they know what the tax measure is about, and to ensure that our chances of passing this tax measure are maximized. So the reason why this tax measure is so important, and I want everyone to be aware of that, is that it will lead to the city being able to gather about $2.3 million additional dollars each year. So while it might seem like a high amount to spend on a campaign to pass a tax measure, it actually is not, because I understand we're in a very tough time right now. We have the pandemic going on, and I've given this a lot of thought. I was also hesitant to support this measure, but the truth is that we've lost over $6 million in revenue from the casino. We're gonna have to figure out how to make up these funds. We need to be able to pass this measure, and in order to do that, we need to educate our people, because if I was a regular resident that's not looking at politics every day, that's not involved in local government, the last thing I would want to do is support a tax measure in a time like this. But if we're able to communicate to the people what these $2.3 million mean, then I think we have a very good chance. And I honestly think that this investment is completely worth the effort. Now, in regards to the Mayor Pro Tem's allegations, you know, she's free to make these allegations. This is not the first allegation where she attempts to incriminate me or the mayor. So it's, unfortunately, we're starting to normalize it and feel like it's just part of the game, I guess, if you want to call it. But I guarantee you, and I promise you that these efforts that we're putting forth are for the benefit of the community. And we've followed every possible measure to ensure that they are legal, they are transparent, regardless of the claims being made here. And I'll let staff fill in those details if necessary. You're always welcome to call me if you have questions in regards to it. This is something that should not be discussed in this manner with such toxicity. I think it's something that is designed for the benefit of the community, and I stand by it 100%. And I think it's the best thing we can do for our community.
And Mayor,
That's the end of my comment. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, City Attorney.
just a couple of things. I wanted to clarify specifically what this agreement was for. I think there's a misunderstanding about the scope of services that this vendor would provide. It is not to run a campaign in support of this measure. It is an educational type of a contract. The vendor will not be advocating for the passage of this particular measure. It's strictly educational. So that's number one. I wanted to clarify that. Number two, when I did become aware of these allegations, I had a conversation with the city manager. And if you would like, I have written a confidential attorney-client memorandum on this very issue. And all of you are welcome to receive a copy. And I would just point out, it isn't a privileged document, so it really is only for the city council and for the city manager. Thank you.
I just want to say, you know, it's really, really sad, Marco, that you would sit here and say that I've criminalized you unjustly. I've never incriminated you unjustly. I've added you in emails where I'm pointing out what everybody else is doing and hoping that you do the right thing. Whether or not you do that, I don't judge you. I don't ask you for your questions. We don't even have an amicable relationship. When I went to your office, you said you had no interest to speak to me. I respect that, and I don't address you. Now, what I am saying is in fact true. And Alejandra, it's so sad. You don't realize that I just repeated what everybody said? Are you like that out of touch? You didn't hear that all these residents call saying that? If people know what you do in your private life, is because you've made it very public and you make sure to introduce yourself as such. And Marco, you're always pushing for us to do everything in-house, that this is important to do grants in-house because we're capable of doing. If we're able to do something as big as grants, then why can't we hire our own parks and recreational people to go and educate our community? That serves good for everybody. Everybody wins there. Our employees have a job and we educate our community. And it looks more transparent and it looks more real. And no one's going to accuse you of giving money to the same company that was running Pedro's campaign. That's an easy way out. But nobody's going to do that, right?
Okay, as I mentioned, I would like to move to approve the item. May I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and take this to a roll call. Councilmember Aceituno,
Yes.
Councilmember Bartzena, Lisette,
No.
and yes for myself as well. So the item carries. Thank you.
Pedro,
City Manager, moving on to the first discussion item.
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. I'll gather myself here. This first item is regarding the city's commercial eviction moratorium. So the city got ahead of the County of Los Angeles and created a commercial tenant eviction moratorium back when the COVID crisis started to provide protection to businesses that rent their business properties in the city of Bell Gardens. Subsequent to that, the County of LA created a commercial tenant eviction moratorium. The major differences between the city of Bell Gardens and the County of Los Angeles has been the payback period. The city's moratorium has required a 3-month payback period at the time in which the moratorium goes away, which hasn't happened yet. So nobody's had to actually pay anything back. But if the moratorium were to end today, the payback period would be 3 months. So anything that's owed would be required to be paid back in 3 months, in addition to the regular rent that would be due going forward. The County of LA initially started with a shorter payback period and ultimately ended up at a 12-month payback period. So the council's heard this on a number of occasions through public comment. At the last council meeting, this was also discussed, and council directed staff to bring back a revision to the ordinance that would make the payback period the same as the County of Los Angeles, which is 12 months. And so what this ordinance does is it modifies our anti-eviction moratorium to allow for a 12-month payback period, and this is effective back to the starting point of this moratorium. So it brings us in line with LA County's protection. So when these ordinances do go away, the businesses within the city of Bell Gardens will have the same payback period of those in the County of LA. There are some benefits to that from an administrative perspective, obviously from a financial perspective if you're a tenant. But also it does allow us to help people a little more quickly because we don't have to explain the differences between the city ordinance and the counties. The second item is if the city ordinance is going to line up with the LA County ordinance, staff's recommendation would be to end our moratorium on September 30th, and that way we would fall under the county ordinance, since there's no difference. So today, what staff is recommending is that the council adopt the ordinance to modify it to provide a 12-month payback period that goes back to the start of the ordinance, and then also to allow our ordinance to end on September 30th because it would be unnecessary at that point, and then our commercial businesses, our commercial tenants would fall under LA County's moratorium. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, City Manager. Council, any questions?
None for me.
Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move to approve staff's recommendation that the City Council repeal the urgency ordinance number 908U commercial tenant eviction moratorium extension, and adopt a new urgency ordinance that modifies the payback period and expiration of the existing urgency ordinance to align with the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors commercial tenant eviction moratorium.
I'll go ahead and second.
We have a first, we have a second. I'll go ahead and take this to a roll call vote. Councilmember Aceituno,
Yes.
Councilmember Barcena,
Yes, and I also want to thank staff because when I was first approached about this particular issue, it seemed like there was no solution. It seemed like we were not going to be able to do this, but they figured out how to get it done, and I really appreciate that because that is really for the benefit of our community. So thank you, Mike, and thank you, Rick, and thank you everyone that worked on this ordinance to make sure that we're able to get the best setup for our residents to benefit from the moratorium. I appreciate it.
thank you, Councilmember Lisseth,
Yes.
and yes for myself as well. So that motion carries. Moving on to the next
Before we move
discussion
forward,
item.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores.
Moving on to the next discussion item, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. The next item is a listing of the local commission's appointment list. It's staff recommendation that the city council at this time review the appointments list and by motion either remove commissioners and or make appointments to the posted vacancies. So I'll turn it over to you, Mayor Cortez.
Thank you. So yeah, I asked for this item. I want to add 2 members to my commissions. I want to appoint Raul Velasco to the Traffic and Safety Commission. And I would like to appoint Carmen Sandoval Vargas to our Parks and Recs Commission or Recreation Commission. So with that, that's my motion. May I have a second for my motion?
Do you mind if I add something to?
Yes,
or
of course.
Should I do it as a second motion?
No, we could do it all in
Okay,
one joint motion.
together? Okay,
Yes.
I would like to add Cristina Paulo to the Education Commission.
Excellent. Okay. Okay, Cristina Paulo. Any other changes by council? Hearing none, may I have a second for the motion?
And that,
Second by Councilmember Barcena, and I'll take this to a roll call. Councilmember Aceituno,
Yes.
Councilmember Barcena, Flores. We'll take that as an recusal? No vote? Okay. Yes for myself as well. The motion carries 3 and an abstention.
I didn't
None.
abstain.
I called your name. Do you want to vote or do you not want to vote?
Are
We're
you
not
to
playing
be
these games.
respectful? You're out of order, Mayor.
We're not playing these
No,
games.
you are. It's not a game. This, if you think.
Mayor Pro Tem
speaking of
Flores?
Mayor thinks
Mayor Pro Tem Flores, what
Yes.
is your vote?
it is a yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
So
you
this
for-
motion
for
carries with a
complete-
4-0.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
City Manager, next discussion item.
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. The next item was a request from Councilmember Barcena regarding term limits for city council members. So the discussion really, when it gets down to it, this discussion item and staff report describe the two means by which a measure can make it to the ballot for there to be term limits for the city council of Bell Gardens. One would be a citizens initiative signed by at least 10% of the city's registered voters. I believe there are about 15,000 registered voters, so that'd be about 1,500. Or by a vote of the city council, much in the way that a sales tax measure was voted on and placed on the ballot for November of 2020. There is time, the next election dates that this could potentially apply for if the council were to give direction would be for the election on March 2nd, 2021 or November 2nd, 2021. And if staff is given direction to move forward, we would bring back all the appropriate resolutions, work with the registrar of voters, et cetera. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions and seek further council direction.
Council questions, comments? Councilmember Barcena?
thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mike, for looking into this. This is something that I've been wanting to do since I ran for office, so I thought it was a good time to do it now because the elections are coming up, and unfortunately, we won't be able to get it in right away. But as Mike said, if there's a possibility to get it done in March, and we have the support of the council, I would like to make a motion to direct staff to come back with our options of how we can implement these term limits as soon as possible, meaning in March. So that's the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Aceituno, and I'll go ahead and take this to roll call. Councilmember Aceituno,
Yes.
Councilmember Barcena,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores,
Absolutely, we don't need any more silent council
and
members.
yes for myself as well, so this motion carries. City Manager, next item, or is this the last item, correct?
That's it, Mayor Cortez. On to council member comments.
Sorry, we're moving on to public participation for non-agenda items. Jane, do you want to go ahead and take the callers first?
Yes. Okay, the first one will be Jennifer Rodriguez.
Hello?
Hello, Ms. Rodriguez?
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes?
This is Jane Halstead. I'm calling, you had signed up for non-agenda item comments. You can go
Yes.
ahead and state your comments before the council.
Sí, voy a hablar en español.
Okay.
No me sorprende en absoluto lo que acaba de hacer el Consejo. Muy predecible. Obviamente Alejandra Cortés con su mentor han hecho esto. El señor Pedro Centuno, como le conviene apoyar a esta compañía Blue Icon, por eso ha votado en favor de él. Es muy fácil comprobar que ambos, que los tres ahora sí saben sencillamente que están trabajando con esta persona. Es muy fácil de comprobarlo, Alejandra. Es muy fácil de comprobarlo, Pedro. Lástima por ti, Marcos, porque pensé que era la única persona con integridad allí que se hace eso. Tú sabes lo que está pasando. Y sabes que este dinero se va a utilizar para la campaña de Pedro, Asesino y María Pulido. Qué vergüenza. Qué vergüenza lo que están haciendo con esta comunidad. Pedro, tú, sobre todas las personas, acuérdate el comentario que le hiciste a uno de tus amigos, de Mario Beltrán y la compañía que le está aportando ayuda a María Pulido. Diles el juego que traes con ellos. Muy amable lo que planeas hacer. Y Alejandra lo que estás diciendo de ella. Diles sobre la relación que tú estás promoviendo, que ella está teniendo con uno de los oficiales allí. Qué tristeza me da. Eres un falta que tú sabes que tú eres hombre, pero. Y tú, Alejandra, eres una mala educada que sigue cortando a usted de la manera que lo haces porque te sientes empoderada. No se te olvide que ese poder se le dio a una comunidad entera y se están dando cuenta del tipo de representantes débiles que eres. Y ahora creen que más cuentas se han dado porque los has traicionado para defender a su mentor, Mario Beltrán. Y ese es no hay. Cuando tú dices que te están acusando de cosas falsas, no, Alejandra, te están acusando de lo que es verdad. Tú estás acusando a usted de cosas falsas. Pero ¿sabes qué? Es muy normal en tu personalidad. Es muy normal porque eres una persona que realmente no comprende esta ciudad. Acuérdate lo que hiciste contra esta ciudad. Acuérdate lo que has hecho. Absolutamente nada. Ahora aquí en tu campaña están y quieren hacer el cambio del mundo, ¿verdad? Que la comunidad se va a dar cuenta de lo que eres. Qué vergüenza me da. Qué vergüenza lo que estás haciendo. Y Pedro, te queda muy poco tiempo para seguir con tu corrupción. Te queda muy poco tiempo para seguir con estos contratos que tú has recibido para vender. Acuérdate, VIP y las propiedades que te entregaron a ti por el otro concilio para que las vendieras tú. Así que recuerda, la comunidad se está dando cuenta y se va a seguir dando cuenta de todo lo mal que has hecho.
Thank you for your comments. Have a good evening. Our next speaker is Victoria Ruiz. Hi, is this Victoria Reese?
Yes, it is.
This is Jane Halstead, City Clerk for the City of Bell Gardens. I'm calling you so you can state your comments before the City Council by phone. Please announce your name and state your comments. You have 3 minutes to speak.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Victoria Reeves, and I'm a resident here, and I find it very alarming and very unethical for us to be trusting you guys as our leaders. I voted for you, Alejandra, and obviously you disrespected me. You let me down in so many different ways that I actually have to hear and see. Now I can't even talk to tell you how upset I am. The only thing I am telling you is that we're supposed to be voting for people that we want to go ahead and elect them so we can trust them, but you guys are over here leading us under false pretenses. Not only in the community, but also in your Zoom meetings, also within social media. We are aware of this. Don't think that we're not paying attention. Don't think I'm not listening. Don't think we're not. And I'm only just one resident. How would you feel if we came with you to send you this information? I trusted you. I voted for you. I put all my information, all of my belief in you, and you done nothing but let me down in this meeting. I hope you have a great day because I sure as hell am not. Have a great one.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Christina Rubio.
Hello?
Hello, is this Christina Rubio?
Yes, this is she.
Christina, my name is Jane Halstead, City Clerk for the City of Bell Gardens. I'm calling you.
Okay.
I'm calling you so you can state your comments before the City Council by phone. Please
Okay.
announce your name and state your comments. You have 3 minutes to speak, so go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Isabel Smith. Alejandra, as a young aspiring Latina politician, I look up to you and you have disappointed me. You're correct.
Our next speaker is Robert.
Bueno,
Sí, buenas tardes. Este es
buenas tardes.
Robert.
Yes, sí.
Ok, mi nombre es Jane Halstead, secretaria de la ciudad de Bell Gardens.
Ajá.
Le llamo para que pueda dar sus comentarios ante el Consejo Municipal por teléfono. Por favor, anuncie su nombre y diga sus comentarios. Tienes 3 minutos para hablar. Comienza.
Sí. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Roberto. Solamente mi comentario va dirigido para el muchacho, a Marco Vargas. Yo voté por ti, Marco, por Alejandra. Yo desde que la vi nunca me convenció, la verdad. Pero yo voté por ti porque tú te veías un muchacho muy honesto y me acabas de decepcionar, Marco. Tú no hubieras votado a favor de ese contrato porque le estás regalando dinero a esta gente para que corra su campaña. Eso no está bien, Marcos, tú lo sabes. Pedro tiene más de 20 años ahí, él ya se tiene que ir. Y María Pulido ni siquiera vive aquí en nuestra comunidad, Marcos. Espero que reflexiones esto, Marcos, porque yo por ti no vuelvo a votar. Gracias.
Gracias, señor. The next speaker is Christina Lopez.
Sí, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. ¿Es Cristina López?
Sí, a la orden.
Ok. Mi nombre es Jane Halstead, secretaria de la ciudad de Bell Gardens. Le llamo para que pueda dar sus comentarios ante el Consejo Municipal por teléfono. Por favor, anuncia su nombre y diga sus comentarios. Tienes 3 minutos para hablar.
Ok. Mi
Comienza.
nombre es Cristina López. Estoy muy decepcionada de la señora Alejandra, porque ella desde que entró allí ha sido una corrupta y ratera. Le ha robado aquí a toda la comunidad. Estamos muy decepcionadas de ella y ya no queremos que siga allí. Es una ladrona, descarada.
¿Es todo, señora?
Okay. Moving on to the last two emails. Good evening, City Council and City Management. My message tonight comes from a place of seeking solutions. It is my hope no one feels attacked. As a resident of Bell Gardens for almost 40 years, I have never felt more unsafe in my city. Constant vandalism on my property and neighborhood with no action from the city has made me disillusioned with local government. I cannot even get an email back from our mayor. Graffiti is at an all-time high. Trash and large furniture litter our streets and alleys. What is the city doing to mitigate this? And are you working to catch these predators? When it comes to gang graffiti, it has been brought to my attention that 3 city departments do not talk to each other. Chauvu's Public Works, Gustavo Romo's Community Development, and Police Chief Fairfield's gang unit. The current system is broken. There are simpler ways to streamline the removal and tracking of graffiti. Why are you not using the GoGov or a similar app software system that so many other cities of our demographic use? It is clear Neighborhood Watch is a failed program run by a failed and incompetent individual. She has not been held accountable by city management or city council. Director Vu, I fully support the installation of a city camera in the alley between Gotham and Ramesh. I also applaud you for your work to explore the use of parking permits in the city. Chief Fairfield, in the meantime, your department could be more aggressive in setting and removing the countless vehicles with expired registrations that are parked on city streets, thanks to so many mechanic shops in my area. This has been an eyesore and a nuisance for way too long. Because our biggest tax source has been closed for months, I know the city is about to start operating on the red, especially because these are difficult times ahead. Every city department needs to start stepping up to figure out how to bring revenue into the city other than raising sales tax as is proposed in November. Lastly, I'm requesting a meeting with the police chief Fairfield. If City Manager O'Kelly's office would like to join in, that would be great. Best, Mark Alamillo. This message is by Cristina Paulo. I manage a Facebook page called Bell Gardens Uncensored. I just want to invite our community to join our virtual candidate forum on September 22nd, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. All city council election candidates have been invited to this public discussion to inform our community voters on their stance on various topics important to this community. It's important voters stay informed and hear from these candidates. All are welcome to tune in. Councilmember Aceituno, we are counting on you to participate. Thank you for your time. And with that, that concludes public comment. I'm going to go ahead and close public participation. Moving on to council member comments, Councilmember Aceituno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, I just want to say that this weekend, we had a senseless act of violence towards officers that protect us. This must stop. A lot of us have family and friends that are in law enforcement, and they work every day creating peace and order in our respective communities. Their lives matter as well. And I think enough has been done and said. And just to hear that some of these protesters were outside a hospital wishing them to die. What has this nation come to? What are the values that I remember as a young child, my parents instilled in me to respect your elders, respect the law? You know, we have a lot of senseless things going on, and regardless of what side of the aisle you are politically, this is one that together we all need to stand, and we need to bring peace back to our region, our nation. with that, I want to thank our chief of police and our men and women in our city and other cities that risk their lives. And let me tell you that I know that during these difficult times, a lot of our men and women in blue around the country feel like they're alone. I can tell you, Chief, and I can tell our men and women across our nation that I am with you. And whatever I can do to bridge the peace that needs to happen, I'm here to do so. And I want to welcome our residents that are listening to send a prayer out to the two officers that are still in the hospital recovering. With that, I want to thank everyone and wish everyone a happy day.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Barcena?
Thank you. I just want to thank Councilmember Pedro Aceituno for those words, and I want to echo what he said. I think this is a great time to show support for police officers that work out there. And, you know, it's a lot of lives that are being affected, like he said, on both sides of the aisle, whether you're more of a liberal, more of a conservative, whether you support Black Lives Matter, or if you support the police department. I do feel like this is a moment for all of us to come together and reflect on how important it is to keep the peace and the respect in our society. So thank you, Councilmember Pedro Aceituno, for those words. I think they're very, very well taken right now. And my other comment is in regards to this council, I want to promote a little bit more respect. I want to promote a benevolent environment in which we all, again, create a peaceful interaction between each other. I heard in this meeting alone words such as maleducada, sucia, descarada, ladrona. And at one point we have to stop and think, who is inciting these insults? Because if somebody actually was doing something crooked, even then, this is not the way to address a problem. So I wanna encourage everyone to rethink the type of energy that they're spreading, because this is a moment in time that we need to focus on being peaceful, respectful, and supportive. This is not a time to be insulting each other, especially someone like our mayor who has dedicated her life to educating herself to help her community rise. And I think actions speak louder than words, because if you look at her life reflects a lot of achievement, a lot of dedication, and a lot of commitment, not only to her community, but to herself as an individual. So let's rethink what we're doing. Let's not resort to these insults, because I think this is the best time to improve the way that we communicate with others. So thank you for listening. I didn't mean to get too preachy. And thank you for all of the respectful comments that came in through our community. I really appreciate it. Even if it's against my opinion, I really appreciate a respectful, thoughtful comment. I think that's what it's all about. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem Flores?
Yes, City Clerk, in my efforts to be as transparent as possible, I'd like for the community to have access to what happened here tonight. So we can make sure that this video is posted as soon as it's done, instead of waiting the next day to approve it. And we can just make sure that it's posted already and that it's available for the community to review it online. That's one. And you know what, Marco, for you, I just want to say that I feel like you are part of the person who is inciting a lot of anger, because tonight your actions incited anger in our community. That's how upset they were, that they felt that they needed to use those words. The incite of anger came from the actions that came from this governing body, not from a personal choice, but from a policy perspective where we're using taxpayer money to give to somebody's friend who's on this council. Now, I didn't get a chance to speak on the item regarding terms, but like I said 2 years ago when I was running, I do support having terms. For instance, this has been a very heated argument, and it's been surrounded around the fact that Mr. Aceituno is being assisted in his campaign by the same company who we just awarded $36,000 to. And what did he say? Nothing. In all his years of experience, you would think he would know how to mitigate a situation like this. At least address the community who's watching, but nothing. That's not a leader. So I'm sorry if somebody might be upset of the way that I convey my message, but that's the passion that speaks inside of me, because I'm upset that this body is deciding to be corrupt and openly at that. But there's nothing more that I can do than bring light to it. However you guys decide to vote, that's on you. I don't control anybody and nobody controls me. So what I want to do now is that I want to make sure that we do discuss these bringing terms to our council members, and that we also discuss in the creation that people who have ran and who have been elected should not be able to run after a certain amount of terms as well. That should be listed on there. So city manager, you can take that note, because there are council members who are still here who want to re-elect themselves, and people who have been here who didn't do anything then and will not do anything again. Like you said, actions do speak louder than words. Within the first 6 months that I was here, I brought a youth employment program. I decided to bring new commissions, as did Marco, as did Alejandra. We've done a lot. I have done a lot. And I didn't need a lot of support. I needed myself and those who believed in me. And that's it. So experience and actions. Pedro might have the experience in being silent, but I take actions when my community needs me. So I do want to make sure that someone like that does not sit in our city council ever again. With that said, I want to go ahead and thank everybody who logged in. I know that this is not the way that you want to see your city council act, but this is the way things are going. What you just witnessed is not good. And we want to make sure that you have access to what's happening, and that that I am at least demanding the most transparency possible. And I want to give, last night, changing the subject, a mother went to work and didn't come home. She's in the hospital fighting for her life. That's one of the officers that got shot yesterday. That is not okay. I don't want anybody to relate that to any other movement going on, but those two people who did that, those individuals should be brought to justice. That is not okay. There's 2 officers today fighting for their lives, and I condemn those who did that. So with that said, I want to go ahead and wish everybody a good evening, and make sure that you continue to tune into your council and that you hold all of your electeds accountable. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to my council member comments. I want to wish everyone a good night. I also want to offer a prayer for the 2 deputies that were ambushed this weekend. I think, as Councilmember Barcena said, and as Councilmember Aceituno mentioned, it is a time for reflection for all of us. I also want to offer prayer for our current our home law enforcement agency, our Bell Gardens Police Department, that they stay safe through the next couple of days and weeks. They do a lot for our community. And tonight we're standing here with our BGPD. We're standing also in solidarity with the 2 deputies that were ambushed, and may their recovery be full and speedy. And may their families, find the solace that they need during these times. Also, thank you, Councilmember Barcena, for your very beautiful and kind words. I have dedicated my life to public service. These hits and these punches are part of this profession, so I'm rolling with them as fast as I can. At the end of the night, I'm walking out of here with my head held high. And I'm walking out of here knowing that I did the right thing. And whether it's, a couple of callers that were incited or not incited by certain individuals, that is on them and on their conscience. They don't know anything about me. They don't know anything about my persona. They don't know about anything that I do day in and day out. But I invite them, to look into my actions, to look into everything that I've done over the past 10 years. And that has been to dedicate it to my communities, particularly my immigrant community. So I stand firmly with my statements tonight, with my actions tonight, and my actions throughout the remainder of my tenure. I'm proud. I'm proud of the Latina that I've become to be, and of representing the city and of being mayor for this city, as well as my numerous other roles that they mentioned tonight, being a law student and also, holding a full-time job. It's not easy, but I'm here and I'm tackling it every single day. And unfortunately, not everyone can say that. So with that, I do want to invite everyone to our food drive. It's coming up September 26th. We're going to be taking volunteers. It's going to be a massive food drive for our residents here in Bell Gardens. And with that, I do want to thank our Parks and Recs that helped to make this possible, and also our Bell Gardens Police Department that will be coordinating with them to make this a very successful event. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:33 p.m. Thank you.